Okay. Okay. All right. So Johnny was telling me yesterday, I was asking him how he hooked up with Bill Simon, and he was telling me a story about how he was almost out of training before he was ever really in it. So you just tell that in your words, that story, if you would.
Yeah, obviously things happen for a reason. I'm a big believer in just letting fate take over, let it take its course. And, my first year of training, when I went on my own in 2016, 17, I was able to get together with a gentleman named Tommy Julian, who hired me on as a private trainer to get started. And I absolutely took the job, and I had a couple other horses with Brent Gassaway, who's been a dear friend, family friend. And, I known him since since I was an assistant trainer with Kellen Gorder. So we developed a really nice relationship, and they wanted to start claiming horses with me. And we went off with that angle. Then at the end of the 2017, I was down horses. I only had like 4 horses for the Gassaways. And, it started getting a little, kind of panicky. We were like, wow, I don't have enough horses. This isn't going to work. I don't know what I'm going to do. I was getting ready, down on myself. Oakland had given me 12 stalls to fill up, and I brought in, I think, at least 6 or 7 horses. And the majority, 4 of them were for the Gassaways. And I was just looking around. I was like, man, this isn't going to work. I just probably finish the meet here, and I probably need to find another assistant job. And sure enough, a great friend of mine / my brother from another mother, Jared Hughes, his name has been mentioned so much throughout this Kentucky Derby story. But Jared Hughes and I were friends back with when we were working for Kellen. He used to do race managing with Kellen. And obviously I was the assistant. So we were in touch. We developed a really, really great relationship. And he gave me a call when I was in Hot Springs, just trying to think about what I was going to do next. And sure enough, he said that I had an interview with a couple of gentlemen that were looking for another trainer. And so I did. I went over. I said, definitely sign me up. I sat down with Mr. Bill Simon and Hootie Moore, from Arkansas. Obviously, this is a great opportunity for anybody with horses in Hot Springs at Oakland. And the interview went really well. They gave me what they expected from me. And at the end of the interview, they asked me, what we were going to do moving forward. They let me know, but I told them, like, well, with all the respect, I appreciate the opportunity, but I do have, the Gassaways that have been with me since, I was an assistant trainer, and they're loyal to me, and I'd love to take the job. But if the Gassaways weren't going to come along with this deal, with this private training deal, I'd, kindly have to decline the offer, because to me, I mean, loyalty and, family comes first, I guess, and they're like family to me. And, look, after that, I drove away for a while. I think I heard back, maybe the next day, Bill Simon called me, and he said that he really thought that really stuck to him. And he said that he appreciated that statement, that loyalty. And sure enough, we were able to build a team with the 3 of them together. And that's the beginning of the success that we're seeing now, just by keeping loyalty in the game. I can't hear you.
That's because I muted myself. Now I'm unmuted. Yeah. So this is y'all's call. Questions. I can continue, or y'all have questions. Well, just tell us how Barber Road's doing and what his schedule will be from here till the Derby.
Well, Barber's doing really good. I could not be happier leading a horse that's just like him right now. Like, this is exactly what you want to be leading up to, not only any race. Like, I in particular, I love moving horses when I know that they're ready to run. I'm confident. But at this level, I was almost a little bit panicky and nervous. It's like, what do I do? How do I change? What do I need to change? How do I train? What do I do? Realize that I'm overthinking, and I'm just sitting there back at the barn looking at this horse, and he has no clue what's about to happen. He has no clue what's going on. He is happy. He is sound. He is animated. He is himself, and he's proud of himself. You can see him in the stall. He stands in front of the stall all day. He gets tired. He rolls around a little bit and takes a nap all afternoon. Like, he's a great horse, feeling great, feeling confident. And now I'm looking at him. I was like, wow, I should be, following your lead, because you don't seem to be stressing out. I don't need to be stressing out. You're the one doing the running. So I'm just going to take back and just let him enjoy it, because he sure is. And I need to stop worrying about it. And I need to enjoy myself.
We got a question from Cameron.
Hey there, thank you so much for the time taken to speak with us today. And you mentioned it right there about taking some time to kind of enjoy the experience yourself. So I'm curious, just going into this for the first time and all the buildup that next week will have, especially, have you gotten any advice from other trainers, or just what do you kind of think about the way that you're going to handle everything that you're going to have to do next week, and doing that while also trying to take in the experience and all of that stuff?
Oh, that's a great question. Thank you. To be honest with you, the experience, or the expectations, I guess, of what's getting ready to happen hasn't really hit me yet. In preparation, as far as, again, you just think you got to be enjoying this, and again, don't change what's working. As far as training wise, he's a happy horse. He knows how to take care of himself. I'm just going along with the ride. He's the road, and we just got to follow this path until it gets us to where we want to be. He is, again, I just, one of the biggest advice that I have from everybody, trainers, jockeys, friends, supporters, even people from the racing office that know me, being so supportive and so kind to me, excited for me and the team. And their suggestion is always stop, relax, take a look around, enjoy the moment, enjoy every single bit of it, and just feed off of that. And you're right. I mean, I got to do my job every morning. That hasn't changed. The horse is training the same way. That hasn't changed. His feed is the same. His soundness, his attitude, everything's the same. The only thing that's different is it's a name, a Kentucky Derby race, a Kentucky Derby. So that's just what's happening right now. And I'm confident in my horse. I'm confident in myself, more so now that I have had Barber Road kind of take the edge off. He's my leader right now. He's my what do you call it, emotional support horse right now. So I'm going off of his lead and being cool about it. And more importantly, honestly, I've been to big races before, not just with myself, more through experience with Bill Mott. I remember when I was just turned 20. I had to be 20 years old. I was galloping for Bill, and we ended up going to New Jersey for the Breeders' Cup. And that was an experience itself. So I understand the excitement, the festival, the pressure, all of it. So I've been at this big stages before, not under my name, and that's just the difference. And now I don't feel pressure. I feel excited, humble, and I'm taking it all in.
We have a question from EJ.
John, your dad is a former jockey, and he got this horse early. Was it right after the Simons purchased Barber Road as a weanling? Because he's down there in Ocala, and I believe he had some early training. So just talk about that a little bit, if you would. Yeah,
again, so Jared Hughes is the mastermind to this craziness that's going on right now. He did an incredible job picking him as a wingling to Keeneland Cell. Obviously, I look at a wingling and they're just adorable. I don't know what they look. They're just adorable little horses. I've been on the racetrack most of my life, and even growing up in Bill's barn, everybody refers as 2-year-olds as babies. And so to me, a baby is a 2-year-old that's built up, breezing 3/8. Those were babies. I moved to Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky, horse country. And now I'm seeing tiny little horses. And it's just, to me, it's adorable. To Jared, he sees a future. Great eye, unbelievable what he did, just being able to pick them out. And I got a keen eye for yearlings, I'll tell you that much. But the way he saw him is just the same thing. I bought horses out the back ring with that anticipation of I see something here, and it's worked out in the past. So Jared has a very good experience with the younger horses. And shortly after he was bought, we took him back to Jared's farm at Fallbrook over there, down for sales. And there he lived with another project horse, Wingling, that we had bought. And he also came on to race last year with us. And his name was Big Boss Ben. And he was the total opposite of him. Tiny little horse, tiny little bay colt, Wingling. And we had Barber Road, which was long and gangly, and just, there. And that little horse picked on him so much at the farm. He used to chase him around. He was always getting picked on, little poor Barber Road. And then after that, we brought him into my dad, where the training started. But I think that little Big Boss Ben bossing him around in the field got him ready for what's about to happen. So we got to thank little Big Boss Ben for being such a bully with him in the paddocks growing up, because again, you've seen all the trouble he gets. You see, he'll find a hole, he bullies his way through. And that's something that my dad, got these babies together. You let him bump around, and he's just a solid rock, So from the very beginning, this little horse, he can take a hit. And, that was the experience with him. Just my dad absolutely loved him. He said, he looks the part. He looks great. He's very well balanced, but he's very quiet. At the time, he was just kind of quiet and just didn't wow you. And especially in the mornings, he doesn't wow you with his workouts. He wows you with the way he travels, how balanced he is, and how beautiful he looks.
Thank you.
Paul Miles had a question.
I got a
Oh, I'm
couple
sorry,
questions.
EJ. Did I cut you off, EJ?
No,
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, Paul.
Yeah, John, got a couple quick questions. Will this be the first Derby you've ever attended, even outside of training?
To be in the race itself, as an assistant trainer, I never had this experience. I have raced on Derby Day. I think last year I was down there at Derby Day. I've been on some undercards before, and I also traveled around, for this. No, this is my first time for it, so yeah, it's a different experience.
So you know what the crowds are like, what the noise is like. Have you sought out, or have you gotten any advice on how to prepare your horse for the crowds, for the noise of Derby Day?
It's funny. Oakland does a fantastic job preparing our horses for any big event, because if you've ever been to Oakland Park, they have a small little paddock inside the building, and it's very loud, echoey, and it sits below the crowd. So there's always a crowd above the horse's head. Now, if you know anything about horses, that's going to be freaky to them, So I think he's always been a professional in the paddock. Nothing bothers him. Again, this is part of his character that does not get him. He doesn't get wound up. He doesn't get loose. He doesn't get anything. He's a happy horse. And then knowing the difference between a happy horse and a nervous horse, it's where we got to make sure we draw the line to make sure he's in the right balance of that attitude. And like I said, in Arkansas, he was in front of a big crowd then. They got to parade him. Not only do you get saddled inside a small paddock that's loud, with crowds over your head, smooching and just looking around and making noises, then we got to walk out to the infield, where that's completely different. They get on the track. Now they think they're going to get ready to run. They don't have a jockey, and they have another experience in the infield. And then you got a parade. So I think the crowd for him is going to be a piece of cake. He's a very chill horse.
And just a final quick question. You got some rain coming in this weekend. What's the work schedule for the horse?
Yeah, I saw that. So we're looking at trying to work him on Saturday. Could push it back to Sunday, but regardless, he's a horse that's been traveling. He's run on all sorts of surfaces, and I am not ever opposed of working a horse over the mud, especially on a safe track like Churchill's track. They do a great job making sure it's sealed properly. And if it's not safe, obviously horse comes first as priority. But I also, I'm a rider. I've been on horses in the mud, and I understand it's a little different finesse to breezing them. But I got very capable riders. Reylu's in town as well. He can work them if I have to. But his breeze rider, his normal rider, Alexander Aguilar, he does a fantastic job. He knows the horse. So I'm probably just gonna let him work it, and he knows what's best.
Thank you.
We've been joined by Bill Simon. Thank you. And I think, John, you're going to be able to stay on, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So now, Bill Simon is the owner of Barber Road. And what you can ask either questions, but we just need time to make sure whoever's speaking that Joe can get them pinned for our recording. So now we've got Bill pinned. So I just want to ask you, I mean, Bill, when I exchanged texts with you, you could tell how excited you were about this horse in the Derby, and you were you said, this was my last meeting before, I could just think about the Derby full time and trying to change your plans. Can you sort of talk about that excitement? And indeed, have you been able to change your plans for when you're going to be able to make it to Louisville?
Yeah, heck yeah, I'm coming tomorrow. I've been trying to stay away, but I just can't. So Johnny, look out, I'm coming to bug you for a couple days.
Can't wait.
Have you ever been close to having a horse in the Derby before, Bill?
Close? No. We've got some really nice horses. We spend a lot of our time and energy focusing on young fillies, and we've got some colts, but we've been focusing on spending our money on really nice fillies because there's some residual value there. And with colts, we're buying conformation and athleticism and the fillies. So we've got a really nice filly, a 4-year-old Joyful Cadence, who's done really well. She's graded black type, and she's a half to Country Grammar. So we're campaigning her, but never got close to, never had a Derby point before this.
Wow. So now that you've got Derby points, I mean, what's it like being you right now?
I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty cool. It's fun having a horse in the Derby. It's really bigger than that. The more you sit back and reflect and think about it, it's big for the industry. I'm so thrilled for Johnny and Jared Hughes and Reylu. Honestly, this is their first and chosen profession, and just seeing the professionalism and the way they go about business, these young up and coming guys, it's just that's the thrill for my wife and I. We're excited about that opportunity. We're along for the ride and really thrilled to see these young guys excelling in their career.
We have a question from Paul Miles, HAS Radio.
Hey, good afternoon, Bill. What's more nerve-wracking? What's more pressure-packed? Running a corporation or preparing a horse for your first Kentucky Derby?
Well, I've told people I've spoken in stadiums in front of 20,000 people, and been to the White House and met presidents and all kinds of stuff like that. And I never got nervous, not once. They walked this horse out to the track, and I start getting nervous. And it's not just this horse. I think that's the thrill of horse racing. These are just magnificent animals, and the opportunity to watch them, I think it stirs something down deep in people, and for me, this excitement and the thrill of watching a race like this is, I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. People ask me what it's like, and I go, honestly, I have no idea. I've never been there before. Haven't done it. Don't know what I'm doing on Derby Day. Don't know what I'm doing on Derby week because I've never done it before. But it's going to be a thrill. And
you're a very successful person. Where would winning the Kentucky Derby rank among your accomplishments?
Oh, I'm not in the Derby, the horses. And, Johnny's prepared them and Reylu's riding them. I think it'll rank right up there with almost anything that I've done. But my thrill will be for the horse, for Johnny, and for Reylu and Jared.
EJ, we got a question from EJ Clark.
Bill, when Barber Road passed the filly Secret Oath in the Arkansas Derby and was really running strong and toward the end of the race, what was going through your mind? And just take us back to that moment, if you will.
Well, I mean, obviously it was a thrill. I mean, we knew he was going to come running at the end, just like we know, on May 7th, he's going to be running like heck, at the end of the race. And, we just ran out of racetrack, or we would have run down Cyberknife. And so Thrilled, obviously thrilled, just the joy of the realization that, we had at that point, a really good shot of going to the Kentucky Derby. The excitement, when I watched Reylu get off the horse and he and Johnny hugged each other. And I mean, it's just fantastic. You can't describe the feeling. It's like nothing you could ever experience.
Johnny said that he doesn't think he's going to have any problem with the 1.25 mile distance, that he's going to like the longer distance, even perhaps maybe the Belmont distance. How do you feel about that?
It's really interesting. And I heard Johnny talk about him. You watch the horse and, he just loves to run. He likes to compete. He'll get out there. It seems like he'll go forever. And you put other horses on the track with him and, a light goes off. And he doesn't mind bouncing off of horses. He doesn't mind weaving in and out or looking at holes. And, that is the definition of the Kentucky Derby right there. And then you watch his gallop outs. He wins every race. He just takes them a little bit past the finish line to win. And you see him the next morning in the stall or that afternoon, and he acts like he won. You can go to a horse that lost a race and they act differently than a horse that won. And he thinks he won. I have no doubt that he thinks he won every one of those races that he was in. And the next morning he's on his toes, bouncing around, saying, "Let's go again. That was fun. I want to do it again." And we've had horses, and Johnny will tell you this, that win a race and they're tired. They're laying down the next day. Not Barber Road. He's ready to go. And so I don't think the distance is going to be a problem. In fact, I think the distance is going to be a friend.
Thank you, Bill.
I think, Jenny, you're muted again.
I know it's because there's some I'm in the press area, and so I keep forgetting to unmute myself. Anyway, I'm interested about how you got in the business of buying weanlings as a strategy. And this horse was $15,000. That's pretty cheap. And I mean, is there anything about your Walmart background with buying 15,000? That's just an angle that seems too good to pass up.
Everyday low price. Yeah. Everybody wants good horses. You go to the sales, you go to the 2-year-old in training sale, and a good horse is going to cost you in the millions. And like nobody wants to pay that much and everybody wants the horse. But even if you do pay that much, you're not really guaranteed much of anything. With a 2-year-old in training, you have one route you run, and with a colt, you either an expensive colt, you either win a grade 1 or you lose money, right? And so I'm a numbers guy, and I spent the first couple years that we were in the sport trying different things and different approaches to try to figure out the best way to sustain a business here. And really the approach that we landed on was that if we buy a range of weanlings, the price value of a weanling is certainly better than a training. And on top of that, you have a whole bunch of off ramps with a weanling. You can sell them as a yearling. You can sell them as a 2-year-old. You can race them. So what we've done is started buying groups of yearlings in very broad price ranges and weanlings. And 15,000 was the low end, but I can't remember. I think the high end of the weanlings that I bought was 300,000 for a gun runner. So it's not that they're all inexpensive. The idea is that, we get to see how they develop. Last year, we sold 2 of our weanlings as yearlings. One of them was a really great twirling candy. And, while I hate giving up a great horse, she funded the, half of the new yearlings that I bought. So I'm now able to sort of sustain a business where I buy some weanlings, I sell some yearlings. I bought a Curlin yearling with some of the money from the weanling sales, that's just, she looks like she's going to be terrific. So I've got a 2-year-old Curlin, and we're building a portfolio of horses, trying to get to those $2 million 2-year-olds, but only paying, weanling prices for them. Now got to deal with, raising them and all the risk that goes with that. But that's the approach we're taking.
I'm thinking that for Johnny, it's got to be a lot easier if you have to make that. Am I unmuted? No, oh, okay. If you have to make the call to the owner that the horse maybe is like slower than you thought, it's probably a little easier if the guy invested 15,000 instead of what 1.7 million, like Taiba or Taba is a San Anita Derby winner. But how did you get interested in horse racing, Bill? Was it being in Arkansas?
Well, I spent a lot of time traveling the country and the world in my business career. And, my wife was home raising our kids. And as I retired from Walmart in 2014, we had some friends, Hootie Moore and his wife, Christy, who were Arkansas folks that had been in racing for a long time. And my wife loves animals and always loved the animals. And, I didn't know much about it. And we bought in one horse with them in 2017. And, from there, she fell in love with the horses, and I sort of fell in love with the math and the game. It was sort of like, P&L in business in a spreadsheet or a racing form in racing. And, that's where I excel, is on the number side of things. And from there, it's grown into a business. Our youngest son graduated from Baylor, and now he's involved in the business. He's does the bookkeeping and looks after our young horses. And so it's turned into a nice little family business for us.
We have a question from Paul Miles.
Yeah, hi, Bill. You've attended the Derby before, correct?
I have, yep.
Okay, so you know the scene. How have you mapped out your day? How will you spend Derby Day?
Interestingly enough, the last time I was at the Derby, I said, well, this is great, but I'm not coming again unless I'm in the Derby. It's kind of one of those things where, all right, bucket list, it's checked off, but now it's going to have to be special. We've tossed around different ideas on how we're going to spend Derby Day. Well, let's be cool, and maybe we won't show up till 3:00 or something like that. No, that's not going to happen, because I'm like a caged tiger right now. So by the time 9:00 on Saturday rolls around, I'm sure we'll be headed to the track. Now, once we get to the track, I don't know what we're going to do. Haven't quite figured that out yet. We've got some guests that'll be with us, so we'll probably get them settled. Johnny's talking about having a cookout by the barn. So I'd love to be able to find our way to the backside around lunchtime and wander around a little bit, spend some time back there with the wonderful people on the backside who care for the horses. They're really special folks, and anytime we can spend with them is terrific. So I'd like to do that, then probably come back over for our guests, and then looking forward to the walkover.
How did the horse get the name Barber Road? And I know Johnny has a sign in the barn that says Barber Road.
Yeah, Barber Road is a street in rural eastern North Carolina that my wife grew up on, and it's named after her grandfather, Clarence Barber. And she grew up on that road. And, we've always, we probably the hardest part about racing for me is naming a horse. First of all the good ones are taken, and secondly, I'm not that creative of a guy. And so, I thought Barber Road would be a good name. My wife Tammy didn't want to name a horse Barber Road because we had named a horse a few years back after her, a horse called Little TK, who wasn't really a very good horse. I mean, she was a great horse. She was a wonderful horse, but she just wasn't very fast. And she didn't do much. And so she said, well, it's bad luck to name a horse after somebody we know or something. And so, we were running out of names that year, and we said, well, I've always liked Barber Road. Let's put that name on him. And as it turned out, it's sort of not only obviously his success has been something, but it's really sort of created a rally in this community. This small little rural community is made up of a lot of her family and friends and people from their church. And so it's been so cool to see everybody get excited about it. And while we're at Churchill Downs on May 7th, we've got a tent on the farm that, my wife grew up on with a whole bunch of people, 75, 80 to 100 people that are going to be watching Barber Road from Barber Road.
That's awesome.
I don't know if either one of you would know the answer to this, but I actually got an email from Janet Patton with the Herald Leader she does a story every year on where the horses were born. And she says, it looks like Barber Road was foaled at Glen Ridge Farm, but she can't find the Glen Ridge Farm. Can you tell anything about where this horse was actually born? You know anything about that? Either one of you?
I don't.
Okay, well, I was just taking a flyer there. How do you turn those seconds into a win here with them? Barber Road had a lot of seconds, and then he had one that, the third in I guess it was the Rebel. And how do you?
Look, we talk about it a lot. Difference between first and second in one of these races after a mile and a mile and an eighth or a mile and a quarter is a blink of an eye. And if you're first by the blink of an eye, you think you're the best horse in the world, and if you're second by the blink of an eye, you can get disappointed by it. I'm thrilled that he's running second. I think you run second, you run first. That means you're in the race. If you look at his Arkansas Derby performance, he tried to get through a hole 3 times, and it wasn't until the third try that he got through the hole. If he gets through the first time, I have no doubt he runs down Cyberknife. So, I think we can win the race. I'm not worried about it. I think we run our race. The Derby, Kentucky Derby is a wild time. It's been, every time I've ever seen it in person and on TV, it's bumper car. The fastest horse doesn't always win. It's the best racer. It's the horse with the most heart, and it's somebody who doesn't quit. And that's what we've got.
I'd like to switch for just a minute over to Johnny. The same question. How do you turn those seconds into a win?
No, I mean, I agree with Bill.
Okay, now.
Yeah. So I mean, I agree with Bill. I mean, obviously this is a question that we've talked about between us and Jared as well. How do we improve? I mean, you add up all the lengths that he's been beaten. It's not that much, so he's always right there. It just comes down to, again, just having the right trip. I mean, right now, more importantly, starting with their base, the simple, the fundamentals. He's well fed, he's sound, he's happy, he's got a good demeanor, he's happy doing his job. So right there, I feel like we're already winning. We're ahead of the game. We're not having any issues, mental, physical, or whatever it may be. He's a horse that's ready to run. So, and in the past, like, again, having a little racing luck goes a long way. And just maybe even patience, maybe having a little, just everybody's going to be going in this race. There's a lot of speed. So, and in Kentucky Derby, they don't go slow ever. So they're going to go. And hopefully we'll be the ones that are still running, coming down the lane, making lane changes, and or just having that perfectly well executed trip.
I want to get back to Bill. It's a hint, Joe, and ask how about hooking up with Johnny. What was it about you that you approached him about training for you?
Well, when we started thinking about getting some more horses and a group of horses, we were interested in finding a trainer that sort of matched our style. And Johnny's just first of all, a terrific guy and an incredible horseman, but he's open and he's willing to teach. We didn't know much. We still don't know much about the game, and having somebody like Johnny, sort of show us, welcome us, and sort of be our guide through the whole thing was really critical. And finally, we didn't want to be investors in this. If you're going to be an investor in horse racing, you probably ought to not, because there's better places to invest your money. We wanted it to be an active business, an active engagement for our family. And, that's really what we get with Johnny. We could go to one, there's some great trainers and obviously Hall of Fame guys who, would take our horses but watching the development of young people is something that's always given my wife and I a thrill. And Johnny, I think Johnny's going to be a Hall of Fame trainer, and he's going to win his first Kentucky Derby pretty soon, hopefully this year. And we'll we're along for the ride. So we not only will get to be in the Derby, we get to see the development of a horse. We get to see the development of a great trainer and a great young jockey. And my son Will's in the business now, and he's along for the ride too. So we'll see him get developed. It's just been special that way. You know, Johnny's a unique trainer, and you know, anybody who's real interested in you know, having an experience like that, somebody that can help guide them through, you know, a real hands-on guy. He's on the horses. He touches them. He sees them. He really is an individual trainer. He's not a formulaic guy. He knows everything about Barber Road, but he also knows everything about Joyful Cadence and every single horse that's in his barn. And he doesn't train them all the same way. He figures out what the horse needs, and then he delivers that to the horse. And I've seen other trainers, you know, they're awesome and very good, but they have a model, and they go through horses and look for horses that fit their model, as opposed to finding what the horse needs and then giving that to the horse. And I think that's what Johnny does. That's what really attracted him to us. And, you know, now that we've gotten to know him and his family, his wife and his kids and his mom and dad and his sister and his brother, you know, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Paul has a question for Johnny.
John, who's riding the horse in the Derby?
Yeah, so Reylu Gutierrez is gonna stay with the horse. He know Barber Road and Reylu have been together since we were down at Colonial Downs, where Barber Road was prepping to make his first start. Reylu was been working him. He wasn't there the day that we debuted, but obviously he came back, worked the horse again, and he was on him for the win. So listen, I think I made it wrong. I forgot what the quote was earlier, but you go to the dance with you dance with who you brought to the dance.
This is his first Derby as well, correct?
Yes, it sure is.
What does that tell me? The fact that all these connections are going into the Derby for the first time with the horse. Is this like a changing of the guard, or just what does that all mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I really believe that right now. I hope that I'm making not an example, but I'm leading the way for the new young generation of trainers that are out there. You know, all the people that I grew up on the backside that were assistants or foremen, some were just scalp riders. I see them out there. They're similar age as me and Reylu, and I want them to have the same amount of success. It's time to make a change as far as the next rotation of trainers are coming in. You know, before you know, Chad Brown came in, and Chad Brown came. Then you had Brad Cox. You know, you have that generation. So I think we're the next generation coming up behind them, and it's just like you said, it's the change of the guards, and hopefully, I'm inspiring or motivating other trainers to be thoughtful of their careers, and I want them to succeed, because you know, if I'm succeeding, somebody's gonna call me. Well, who's the next young trainer that's like Johnny, that we don't have to get lost in the system? Or who's up and coming, or vice versa. My cousin, he's training in Gulfstream down there. He had a fantastic year last year. Jason Barkley is another young trainer that does very well with claimers. Matt Shires. I mean, I can go on and give you lots of names. Lacey Gaudet, Brittany Russell out in Maryland, Ray Handel in New York. There's so many young people out there, and I want those guys to win, because people are going to give me a call. Hey, we need somebody like Ray, or hey, Ray, we need somebody like Johnny. You know, so and we work together. Believe it or not, I encourage all my friends to always, you know, if I can help them, I'm here for them as well.
Hey, John, what did your dad tell you about Barber Road when he had him as a yearling? What's he telling you about him at the time?
My dad is incredible. He's a character himself. You know, he's super energetic, super optimistic. It's kind of where I get it from a little bit. But my dad he's got he just loose reins with his happiness and his enthusiasm. And you know, you show him a horse and he just looks at it. Oh, that looks great. I love this horse. Blah 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 blah. He's always excited about him. But Barber Road did stand out in that group that we had. We had a bunch of short, stocky, fast horses, and a couple of long, looked like two-turn horses. Actually, we had a half brother to Mr. Dumas, And, obviously we knew those going to be longer horses, 2-turn horses, but Dad said this horse right here, he's very well balanced. He looks so perfect when he's galloping. And again, he's beautiful to look at. And he's the right specimen of a horse that you, like I said, that can lead you to the Kentucky Derby. And so Dad's always been optimistic about him, and he loved him just physically. Again, this is why Jared bought him. This is why I like him. And, it's just, he's a good looking animal, a good looking athlete.
And back to Bill. What was it that Jared told you when you paid $15,000 for this horse? Like you said, you paid more for some other horses, but what did you? Was he talking up the horse early, saying like, "I can't believe we got him for $15,000," or were y'all thinking, well, if he's an allowance horse, that'll be still, depending on where we run for the allowance race, a good investment?
No, Jared, it's interesting because I think it was day 9 of the sale, and I couldn't stay for the whole sale. And we had a whole bunch of fillies in that year group. And I said, Jared, we need a couple colts, pick up a couple colts. And he picked up Barber Road and another horse, another $15,000 weanling. And, he said, I said, oh, race day. I think I heard a race day. Why'd you pick him? He said, he's just an athletic horse. I was just buying athletes. And I said, great. We got a nice balance, and we'll see how it turns out. I figured for $15,000, you kind of can't go wrong. And we sort of watched the horse progress. And, we've been obviously really thrilled with him, but, watching him move, even as a youngster, he was always one of the more fluid horses. And I'll build on what Johnny was saying. Carlos, his dad, I don't know. He's never said a bad thing about any horse that we've ever had there with him, but he's always excited, but sometimes he's even more excited. And in this case, he was even more excited. So we sort of thought we had something.
And I'll just ask you the question that Paul asked Johnny about the idea of the 3 of you, owner, trainer, jockey, all in your first Kentucky Derby together.
Well, for us, honestly, that's intentional. We take knowledge and take great heart from the leadership and guidance of some of the, iconic trainers. Gosh, just being on the same track as Wayne Lucas is just, unbelievable. And some of these, these tremendous jockeys, Mike Smith and the Ortiz brothers. It's just incredible. And they're wonderful to watch. And I think they set, a path and a guidance for people who aspire to be. I mean, that's what I think Reylu wants to do. And I think that's what Johnny be like in his career. And the industry is at a time, in my view, that it needs young people who, to be successful. It needs a new group of people to come and change. I mean, the world's changing. There's technology and so many different opportunities for people to spend their entertainment dollars. And now you can wager on almost anything, anywhere, at any time. And there needs to be some hope and some future and some light and some excitement brought into a race to follow the path that these wonderful people have set. And I think they've set the table for, like Johnny said, the next generation. There's, Chad Brown and Brad Cox, and those guys, they're not old, but they've had a level of success. These young guys, I mean, Johnny trains differently. We get videos and tweets and, social media. These guys are doing things that young people do in a way that will appeal to a whole different audience. And that's really critical in my mind, in my view, for the future of the sport. And so we're thrilled to sort of make that happen. Like I said, this has all been intentional for us. We could have gone anywhere, and we chose these guys. We want to be with them, and we want them to succeed. And we're going to do everything we can to make that happen.
This is a leading question, but if people make the connection between $15,000 weanling and your background with Walmart, and when you, by the way, created the $4 prescription program there, Would you take that as a badge of honor? I mean, that people making a comparison to Walmart with your horse?
Honestly, it is what it is. You know, you work for Walmart a long time. You've heard pretty, about inexpensive and all that stuff. I think I heard Johnny say it best at one point. He said, money doesn't race, horses do. And I've seen really expensive horses just, never break their maiden, never even get to the racetrack. And we've seen, $5,000 horses. What was Medina Spirit? $1,000 last year, first time he sold. So I don't think money really matters. I think I'm really thrilled he only cost 15,000. But I don't really think that's a relevant point. I think the Walmart story is real interesting. Like, hey, here's a guy who bought a horse on markdown or something, and but I think we all chuckle and then watch him run, and you go, whoa, boy, he's really worth it. So,
hey, you can get quality at Walmart.
you sure can.
And I think we'll interject here that I think Fusace Pegasus is the only $1 million yearling purchase anyways or he was like what, 4, something like that, to win the Kentucky Derby. So there you go.
That's right.
Do we have any more questions for Bill or for Johnny? Well, y'all been terrific. I think you gave us a lot of great material and really appreciate it. And you'll be seeing some of these people back in Louisville in person, the media on this call. But thank you both so much. Really
You
appreciate
bet, Johnny. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, boss. See you tomorrow, bright and early.
You bet. Yep.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Thanks to you both. And for the other people on the call, we'll have Tim Yakteen at 2. You can, if you need to, you can stay on the call or you can call back in, whatever you want to do. Joe and I'll be keeping the lines open. So, right, Joe, is that how it's going to work? Okay. All right.
See you.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.